Welcome to the Stranger Things Season 2 quiz. Still remember Season 2, or is it time for a rewatch? 30 questions, 3 options, 5 seconds each. Before we start, if you're new here, please subscribe to our channel for more fabulous videos. Alright, let's get started. What happens to Eleven after she kills the Demogorgon? She wakes up powerless in the woods, where Hopper finds her and hides her at his place. She joins a crew of thieves called Ocean's 11. She wakes up in the Upside Down, escapes through the school wall portal, and hides in the woods. C. How did Eleven survive for nearly a year? She lived alone in the woods, stealing Eggos and using her powers to hunt small animals. She stayed hidden in a cabin in the woods with Hopper. She hid in a supermarket storage room, eating only frozen Eggos. B. What ability does Eleven improve during this time? She learns to locate people while blindfolded, using only TV or radio static. She develops two-way telepathy with Mike, talking to him without a walkie-talkie. She can mute Hopper with a single eyebrow raise. A. Why does Eleven decide to run away? After an argument where she shatters the windows, she fears hurting Hopper and runs away to protect him. Hopper is out of Eggos. She uses a photo to find her mother and discovers she's alive, unlike what Hopper told her. C. What happens when Eleven meets her mother, Terry? Terry speaks to her in the void and warns her to run because Brenner is still alive and hunting her. Eleven tries to connect to Terry's mind but gets rickrolled. Terry uses her psychic powers to show her memories of the lab and another girl, Ade or Kali. C. What does Eleven learn about Kali? She can create illusions and leads a gang hunting down and killing the people behind the experiments. She can read minds and works with other former patients to gather evidence against the lab. She's nasty because she won't eat frozen waffles straight out of the box. A. What else does Eleven learn while she's with Kali? She learns she can boost her powers by channeling her anger, and that Brenner is still alive. Anger makes her weaker and she has to stay calm to use her powers properly. The Demogorgon is still alive and has eloped with Brenner. A. Why does Eleven leave Kali and go back to Hawkins? She uses her powers to see that her friends are in danger. She refuses to kill Ray, fights with Kali, and decides to leave her. Chicago-style pizza is heavier than a train car. A. Who dealt with the gate in the lab, and how? The military tried to seal the gate with concrete. Dr. Brenner is forced to clean the underground lab, ripping out the vines with his bare hands. Dr. Owens keeps the infestation in check by regularly burning the vines coming out of the gate. C. Why doesn't Dr. Owens's plan work? Burning the vines releases spores that travel through the vents and infect the fields around the lab. The gate has grown underground and the Upside Down's vines are spreading, rotting the nearby fields. The lab's fire suppression system keeps putting out the flames. B. Why does Nancy decide to come clean to Barb's parents? She sees a TV piece painting Barb as a runaway and she can't stand the lie. She remembers that friends don't lie. She feels guilty when she learns they're selling their house to hire a private investigator. C. At the meeting with Barb's parents, Nancy and Jonathan are taken to the lab. What happens there? Dr. Owens threatens to kill them. Dr. Owens gives them electroshock to wipe their memories. Dr. Owens shows them the gate and explains why it has to stay secret. C. What do Nancy and Jonathan do with the tape secretly recorded at the lab? They play back the tape and realize the gate's magnetic field has wiped it. They go to conspiracy theorist Murray and ask for his help spreading the tape. They plan to mail the tape to the press, but Jonathan accidentally records "Should I stay or should I go over it?" B. What ability has Will gained since returning from the Upside Down? True sight, uncontrolled visions of the Upside Down that reveal the shadow monster, Mind Flayer. He can trigger visions of the Upside Down on purpose to figure out what the Mind Flayer wants. Map making. A. What happens when Will tries to drive the Mind Flayer away? The Mind Flayer possesses him and turns him into its spy in the human world. He forms a controlled link with it and can sense the tunnels. He challenges it to beat Max's high score at Dig Dug. A. What does the Mind Flayer's possession do to Will? He stops recognizing Joyce and becomes the Mind Flayer's cold, loving puppet. His head twists backwards. He becomes part of a hive mind, sharing memories and feelings with the Mind Flayer, the Demodogs, and the Vines. C. Which ones share a wound that is growing, spreading, and will eventually kill? Hawkins, the gate, 11, her guilt for opening it, and Will, the Mind Flayer inside him. 11, Brenner's experiments, Hopper, losing his daughter, and Nancy, her guilt over Barb. Bob and Dustin's cat, both eaten by Demodogs. A. How does Will express what he feels? He draws hundreds of pages that fit together into a giant map of the Mind Flayer's tunnels. He talks to his mom through Christmas lights on the wall. He carves the tunnels into his mashed potatoes at dinner. A. How do they manage to save Hopper after he passes out among the vines in the tunnels? Bob the Brain realizes the drawings form a map of Hawkins, and Will marks where Hopper is. Dr. Owens lines up a real map with the drawings and leads a team into the tunnels at the spot Will shows them. Joyce follows a trail of Hopper's cigarette butts. A. Why does Mike want to kill Dart the Pollywog? After Dart shows up, Will's visions worsen, and Mike fears the creature is amplifying them like an upside-down antenna. Will recognizes Dart as the slug he coughed up into the sink a year earlier, so Mike knows it's from the upside down. It burps like a tiny demogorgon and drives Will crazy. B. How do Lucas and Dustin try to impress Max? Lucas brags that he led the group on their last mission, and Dustin tries to beat her Dig Dug high score. Lucas tells her what happened the year before, while Dustin secretly keeps Dart at his house. Lucas claims he stopped a Demogorgon with his slingshot, and Dustin walks around with Dart hidden in his cap. B. How does Dart escape from Dustin's house? After molting, Dart grows bigger, smashes the terrarium, and opens a portal to the upside down in the wall. After eating the cat, Dustin locks him in the basement, but Dart escapes through a Mind Flayer tunnel. Dustin's mom opens a window to air out the room, and Dart jumps out. B. How did the kids intend to kill Dart? They trap it in the shed to torch it, but it smashes through the wall and gets away. They lure it to Steve's house, where he plans to fry it with his Farrah Fawcett hairspray as a flamethrower. They lure it to the old junkyard to burn him, but then realize there are several demo dogs. C. What do the demo dogs do at the junkyard? They swarm the bus where the kids are hiding, but 11 shows up just in time and kills them all. Steve tosses his nailed bat and the demo dogs fetch it and bring it back. The Mind Flayer diverts them and the soldiers will tricked into burning the hub, then sends them to massacre everyone at the lab. C. How do Hopper, Joyce, Will, and Mike escape the lab when the demo dogs attack? Bob turns the power back on and shuts down the security locks, but the demo dogs kill him. 11 shows up at the lab and blasts the demo dogs away. Joyce runs around screaming and scares the demo dogs off. A. How does Will communicate once the Mind Flayer fully takes over? By drawing quickly. By tapping Morse code with his fingers. By turning on Joyce's Christmas lights. B. How does Will suggest they defeat the Mind Flayer? Burn the tunnel hub. Sacrifice 11. Close the gate. C. How do they free Will from the Mind Flayer? Since the Mind Flayer hates heat, they surround Will with heaters and burn him with a red-hot poker. 11 goes into the void and severs the link from inside Will's mind. His brother's act of true love melts his frozen heart. A. How did they drive the Mind Flayer out of Hawkins? Hopper blows the gate with explosives, causing the lab to collapse and bury the vines. 11 goes to the lab with Hopper and uses her enhanced telekinesis to close the gate. The military drops napalm on the lab in the nearby fields. B. How does Dr. Owens repay his debt? He secures a federal order that recognizes 11 as a lab victim and grants her immunity and support. He gives Hopper a birth certificate for Jane Hopper, officially making him her guardian so she can live out in the open. He hangs a plaque in memory of Bob in the closet and gives 11 a lifetime supply of Eggos. B. How many did you get right? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.